Hello friends, hello, and welcome to the next in the Twin Flames 2.0 series. This is Twin Flames, what is Wave 2? So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here. No matter where you're listening to this, either on the podcast, which is at any major podcast provider, or whether you're watching the video on YouTube, I want to welcome you into the TLC for the Soul family. As with most of my episodes, I'm kind of walking around, seeing what Spirit's guiding me to look at and see. Oh, I can't share that with you. It looks like the Ace of Wands. Wow. I live in a really old house. It's over 100 years old. And the room that is my studio now belonged to the people before us had like their kids in this room. And so the kids had a lot of like little drawings and things like in secret little places, like inside the door jambs and stuff that, kind of got missed when they painted or whatever. But I don't really care. It kind of adds to the charm of the house. But yeah, it's interesting what's standing out to me there. That's something interesting. All right. So before we go any further, I want you all to settle in. This is, as with all the waves of the Twin Flame journey, this is a very rich one, filled with magic and probably the biggest bunch of spiritual growth that you will have on your spiritual journey. Before we go any further, I want to wrap us all in love light and light love and invite in the guides who overlight this show, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians, and the guides overlighting the Twin Flames 2.0 series, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Raphael coming in. And we have many Twin Flame spirit guides, many Twin Flame spirit animal guides that join us here that are part of my TLC for the Soul family, guides that I've been working with for quite some time, who just came to me in pairs. It's very interesting. So what we're going to do here is, if you're listening and not watching, there is actually a video. If you're interested in the video, you can head over to my Loveland Tarot YouTube channel. Links to everything I'm going to be talking about today. If I mention anything about links, they're always in the show notes. You can check that out there. But what we're going to be doing, we're going to light a candle here in a second. Probably going to light some incense too, because wave 2 is like probably the longest part of the journey. And I've been watching and listening this morning prior to recording this episode, just seeing what themes Spirit brought to me in preparation for recording this show today. And so I will share those as we go throughout. There is also a blog series for all the channelings, because with any of my work, it's all what I call channeled. So if you're new here, it's just one of my spiritual gifts is clairaudience. Things just come to me via automatic writing. I sit down with my guides in sacred space, and I invite in the guides who are working with me on a particular body of work. And I just listen to what they're telling me, and I just type it out or write it down or whatever. And those are all the channelings that you hear here on the show. That's how all of my fiction and nonfiction books are written. I am going to bring in a book here in a minute. If you're interested in any of my books, all my ebooks are free to read. They're not on Amazon, because Amazon, whatever, they want exclusivity, and I want them books to have a wider net than that. So my Smashwords, you guys know I can never say this, Smashwords publisher is the link to my Smashwords ebook publisher page is in the show notes, but you can search for me or my books anywhere. If you put in Tammy Lynn Chambers or TLC for the Soul, that I come up. I come up in Google all over the place. But you can look in Google Books, Apple Books, Barnes and Noble, and you just need an EPUB reader on your device in order to read my books. So those are there. What we're going to do today is we're going to read the channeling for What is Wave 2. Now, if you just popped into this What is Wave 2 and you haven't heard any of the prior episodes of this series, I do invite you to start at the beginning. In YouTube on Loveland Tarot, there is a Twin Flames 2.0 series playlist. Same thing with Spotify. There is this playlist there. The reason Spotify has all the playlists and no other podcast provider is because Spotify kind of hosts, or yeah, I guess like hosts my podcast. I don't know how to say it. But anyway, Spotify is intertwined with my podcast in some way. And so they offer a little bit more functionality and stuff for podcast providers on Spotify. So I've got a Twin Flames 2.0 list there as well. So if you're on Spotify, you can search for me, TLC for the Soul, and you'll find all the playlists that are part of this show. This is not the only one. So we've got Bringers of the Light coming up on Sunday. So I'm recording this on a Friday, the Friday before the full moon and the full buck moon in Capricorn, and July 4th holiday in 2023. These are, of course, timeless, and so you can check in with them whenever you are guided to. Many people go back in the podcast, and I've always said you can use my podcast, my YouTube channels, and my Instagram as oracle cards or oracles. You can just flip through, close your eyes, flip through, put your finger down on my feed or on the videos or on the podcast episodes, and trust that what you put your finger down on is what you most need to hear or be aware of in this now. Now we're going to get a little cozy here. We're going to light a candle. I don't remember what this candle is. It has I don't remember the fragrance. It smells like vanilla, but it's not vanilla. It's something else. Lemon parfait or something like that. For our summer, it's summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, so planning for a very noisy July 4th weekend where I live, because in the town that I live, fireworks are legal and they sell them everywhere. They sell them at the high school, they sell them at the store, and I live across from like a city lot, and everybody comes to the city lot from like probably this weekend till the 4th and pops some darn fireworks. So it's going to get kind of noisy here. So fireworks coming up for this Twin Flame 2.0 journey. Lots going on. So we've got the candle lit, and no matter where you're at, use these episodes as a way to relax, kick back, listen to the light language or the ASMR, however you want to see it, that comes from my voice. Just settle in. There's activations here for you. There's healing. All right. So I am going to pull some cards out. I think the thing I want to do first, though, is read the channeling for what is wave 2 so that we all have a clear understanding. So far in the podcast, we've talked about what is a twin flame. So the guides have given us a channeled definition of what a twin flame is. What is the soul signature? What is the energetic soul signature of a twin flame partnership look like? Our second episode, we spent learning how to scan our relationships, scan the energy of different types of relationships, because the twin flame relationship, there's only one like it in the universe. And so the soul signature, what the energy feels like, what chakras are connected between the two twins, is unique to the twin flame relationship. You won't find any, get me chills there. Oh my gosh, there it is, the moniker of our show, so many chills. You won't find anything like it in any other relationship. So we talk about during this series that knowledge is power. So you won't find this soul signature with any catalyst, any soulmate, any blood relative. Like the moniker of the twin flame counterpart union soul signature is unique to that. So if you want to empower yourself, which you should want that, then you want to check out episode 2 of the podcast, What is the Twin Flame Soul Signature? So you can learn yourself how to scan the energy. We give you very clear, precise instructions on how you can scan the energy so that you know what's going on. So there's no There's no, guessing like, is this person I'm with my twin or not? You will know based on that energy scan, and we give you the homework to do that there. Then we did what is wave 1, and now we are doing what is wave 2. And there's only 3 waves if you're curious. So we have one more of these shows to do about waves and where are you out on the journey. Also, if you're listening to this, anytime between now and September 2023, or you can just do it. It's timeless too. Every quarter I've been asked to do a where are you at on the journey based on your wave. So it's a pick a pile card drawing. It's on the podcast. It's on Loveland Tarot, and you can pick your pile and find out where you're at on the journey and get a status update on how things are going for your particular wave, for all of the twin flames in wave 1, twin flames in wave 2, twin flames in wave 3 kind of a thing. All right, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read the channeling for wave 2. Now, if you want to read this with your own eyes, you can head on over to the blog. The link is in the show notes, and you can read it again. You may want to read it more than one time because there's activations in the channelings it may activate you to begin a particular body of healing work for yourself. The guides build all of these magical things in, it's not like I'm sitting there going, but I do set the intention, like I want my work to be magical and healing and activating and all of that, and they bring that in through the work. All right, so let's start out with what is wave 2. Now, I know if you're watching this as a video, all you're seeing right now is the tarot table with a candle burning. Like, just go with that for now. Just close your eyes. Everybody, just close your eyes if you can. Like if you're driving, obviously. I don't know why we always have to say that. It shouldn't be obvious, but don't close your eyes if you're doing something that you can't close your eyes for. But ultimately, you should be engaging with this content in a open, receptive state. Not while you're doing other things, because that's taking your attention away from any healing or activations that are coming up as part of this work. So if it was me, I take it out. I take myself outside with some headphones or something and sit under a tree or lay down somewhere comfortable and sit out on your patio or whatever and engage in this content. All right, so I'm going to start on the channeling, what is wave 2? And then we will draw some cards to get you some extra messages. We'll do a intuitive reading from my book, Chaga and Chai, which is a book all about twin flame reunion. And then we'll call it an episode. So wave 2, the channeling is, this wave is where you will require the most support to continue and carry on. While you can never completely disconnect from your twin, there will be times when you'll be ready to throw in the towel and move on to something or someone else. If this is a true twin flame connection, you will be guided on how to move forward. Each soul journey is different. Some of you are meant to, as part of the journey, connect and have relationships with other partners who are sent to help you heal and transcend old and past life soul wounds and patterns. You may be in this type of relationship now and are wondering if the individual you are with is your twin soul counterpart. There is no reason to be confused. Simply do the energy scan test to validate the connection or seek out a professional twin flame teacher to assist you in this. So you can go to the second in this series and learn how to do the energy scans like we talked about. You can seek out a professional twin flame teacher, guide to help you with this. I consider myself to be one of those. Although you don't have to, you can go with whoever you resonate with. It doesn't matter. Not everyone out there talking about twin flames has the necessary information to discern at this point. So allow your guides to lead you to the appropriate teacher. Again, there are no timelines as a whole for this wave. However, there are signposts and markers along the way that will give you insight about how long you might be here. Ask your guides to show you where you're at on this leg of the learning and healing, for this wave 2 is where you will do the majority of soul growth, healing, and alignment to each other. No wave of the journey is more important than another. However, if this wave isn't fully assimilated and integrated, then you could stay looping around soul teachings and lessons until your twin flame guides and guardian angels are certain you have learned and integrated each lesson on your path. Again, each twin flame connection has its own plethora of healing, learning, and soul growth that need to be taken on and overcome before the connection can move on to wave 3. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, as much as you might want there to be. Oh, goodness me. So I totally agree with everything they've said there. Wave 2 is like, it could be a fast track for like your soul's growth. That doesn't mean it could be fast. Everybody's different, but like they said, there are these signposts and markers along the way. The guides will show you through signs that you're seeing, possible, maybe if you're watching tarot or oracle readings or whatever, there's different markers. But I would say in wave 2, the marker I got the most was keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I just kept hearing keep going like all the time. I was just so tired of keep going. And if you are someone who watches a lot of tarot readings, I would say that from wave 1 on all the way till you come into reunion with your twin, which is what happens right after, as part of wave 3, you will continue to hear the same message over and over and over again, that someone's coming into your life. They're giving me big chills for that. It's your twin. It's a divine counterpart. This person's coming in. You're going to get all these signs. And every time you ask, you're going to get the same message. And I honestly did tell, like during wave 2, I needed a lot of support to keep going. And I think every day I didn't look for different tarot readers. I stuck with a few that my guides brought to me. But every time I had to watch like a reading or get like a reading every day. Not a reading, like I wasn't purchasing one, but I would watch these channels, every day. And I would save the best one for daily support because I don't do daily. I just don't have my bandwidth to do daily right now. But Liz Harrison with Guided by Angels to me offers the biggest plethora of daily support for twin flames that I've ever seen out there. There could be others that you're guided to, but she seems to, the twin flame, I'm getting big chills. The twin flame guides seem to have her just pop up for people. So like I didn't even know who she was. And at some point in my wave 2 of my journey, she just popped up and started auto playing in my YouTube feed. And once I heard her voice and heard her message, I'm like, okay, I need to stick with her. Because I really resonated strongly with the messages. And she does like daily, every single day. I don't think I've ever seen her. How long have I listened to her now? I don't even remember. Since 2020, I think. 2020 or 2021, something like that, 2 or 3 years. I've never seen her miss a day. And she does daily readings like every day for the Divine Masculine, a Divine Feminine Power message reading, a twin flame message, a message from the divine counterparts, a daily angel message. She does like 5 or 6 videos a day. So if you are someone who was like me that needed like daily support, I would wholeheartedly recommend her channel. Otherwise, your guides are going to send you, and she does read, and she has a lot of divine masculine. It's not just divine feminine watching her. She does a lot of support for the divine masculine as well. So, what else do I want to say about wave 2? Yeah, the signposts are a lot about keep going, and you will get repetitive messages throughout the journey to where after I've seen like probably hundreds of readings telling me this person's, coming, at some point it's like, okay, this person's really coming. I would say also during wave 2, this is the place where you will need the most support around, is this real or not? no matter whether you're the divine masculine or the divine feminine. If you're the divine feminine, because the next set of videos I'm going to do in this series are the journey for the divine feminine. What's that journey like overall? The markers and the signposts and the guideposts for divine feminine. And then I'm going to do one for the divine masculine. But I would say overall, the biggest thing about wave 2 is kind of like, is this some in wave 1, but more wave 2, because the time starts to drag on a little bit, and you're kind of like, is this even real? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And so it helps to understand what the journey's like. For the divine feminine, though, overall, the journey is one about, and I told you this is a niche. This is a niche of a niche. So let me explain that. I am supporting twin flame partnerships, but I've got a niche of the overall twin flame collective, and my niche that they're having me work with are those of you that have not met your twin yet in the 3D in this lifetime. And your journey, if you are resonating with me as your guide, for you, your journey is about clearing all the stuff you need to clear and do all the healing that you need to do before you meet your twin in the 3D. So that's, like I said, a niche of a niche, because to me, twin flames is already a niche thing. Like, the general public is like, what? And then to give me a subset of that as those of you that have not yet met your twin yet, which is a subset, because a lot of twin flames are working together, have already met and are going through a lot of the healing work together. I can't say which journey is more difficult than the other, but I can say for this one, it's a journey about trust and faith. For the divine feminine, it's kind of like, does this person really exist? Because all I feel is the person's heart and soul, like within and around me all the time. And I just keep getting messages, this person's coming, many, many confirmations. There's this person out there, but no physical 3D evidence of this person. And so this niche of a niche journey is one of trust and faith that there really is somebody out there doing the work alongside you. And really all your communication with them at this point, divine feminine, is in what we call the 5D, or in the astral realms. If you're a divine masculine listening to this, your journey is one more of like bravery, courage, opening up to your divine feminine, and spirit will like show you who they are. One way or the other, it's all different, but it's kind of like you're going to be like the quote unquote secret admirer. You're going to be admiring this person like from a distance, so to speak, but your guides aren't going to let you reach out and contact them. But they're going to continue to kind of like put them in your space and put signs and markers and guideposts about this person all over the place in your physical 3D reality, so much so that you just cannot miss it, that this is your person. But you're going to have to work through all the healing that needs to be done to have the courage and the bravery and the faith to reach out to this person at some point as a healed divine masculine. So I don't want to go too much more to that, because I've got 2 full episodes I can do on that alone, one for each, the feminine and the masculine. But I did want to bring that up so you guys are kind of clear depending on who's listening to this. And the thing is, you all are doing the work together in the 5D, regardless of whether you can speak to each other in the 3D or not. So I'm going to grab my book, Chaga and Chai, and get an intuitive reading out of this. I'm going to give you now, since we gave you the overall thing about what is wave 2, I'm going to give you, we're going to go to a little reading here from the book, and then we're going to grab a couple of cards from my new deck, the Vision Quest Tarot, because I would say that this is, the twin flame journey to me is like a one long vision quest. All right, so I've got my book, Chaga and Chai. This is from my Soulmate series. If you're interested in this book, like I said, you can read it for free. You can search for it wherever. But just the quick description is, there's no stopping a love that is meant to transcend all time and space. Larimar McDougall runs her Chai House Tea in Scotland and knows her love is out there somewhere. She's been seeing him in her dreams since she was a child, and now he's appearing in her mind's eye and speaking to her. And his eyes, is he a dream or fantasy? Billy Tavish, LA herbalist, travels the West Coast USA in search of the perfect mushroom to add to his collection. His gentle and kind demeanor belies a magical and introspective guy who all the ladies want to get to know better. But Billy's heart is set on finding his love of a lifetime. He knows she's out there, at least he hopes so. He's been visiting her at night in his dreams, and now he's seeing her in visions during the day. Is she real? He has to know. The soul knows the way, and there is no stopping the bonds that have been set when two souls pledge their undying love for each other. Chaga and Chai surpasses this earthly life to explore a love that transcends all. Divine timing, soul union, sacred partnerships, passion, and sensuality are explored in a story of perfect divine union and the love that brings it all together. And I actually wrote this book before honestly, I think you're on since the twin flame journey is part of your soul path, part of your soul blueprint, and something you decided you were going to work on in this lifetime before you incarnated, then honestly, I think you're on the twin flame journey your whole entire life until you actually until it actually activates, you don't know that's what it is. So you may have been feeling someone around you, maybe your whole life, and not knowing what that feeling is, not knowing that it's an actual someone out there just for you. And I actually channeled this book before my twin flame journey was activated. And so I didn't really understand the whole twin flame thing quite yet, although I think this was probably part of the activation process. But I'm going to just put my thumb, my finger, and I guess if you're on the video, I can show you the cover. And then I'm going to put a few cards down. So this is Chaga and Chai, well used. And I'm going to thumb through the right side of the page. All right, so they want me to read the right side of the page. This is chapter 13, with wind in her hair. With wind in her hair, Larimar made her way into the tea shop. A storm was coming in again, and she still hadn't shuttered the old tavern house. She knew she needed to, but just once she wished she didn't need to do this work alone. Oh, that's it. She supposed Rowan, this is her, Rowan is her catalyst. So, like, what do they call them? Catalysts, and I don't know what the other word is. We're calling them catalysts here on the show. She supposed Rowan might have helped if she had asked him, or she could have hired someone else to take care of it. Goodness knows there were plenty of folks willing to help. But somehow she just felt right doing it herself. That was until now. Larimar made a mental note to follow up on the details of shutters before she and Rowan left for America. She had a small knot in her stomach thinking about the trip, so she headed behind the counter to steep some peppermint tea. It was easy to get caught up in the mundane attributes of life and get lost to the magic all around, but Larimar had made a pact with herself long ago that she would never let that happen. And a pact was as good as any charm in keeping someone or something true to their word. What is this talking about from an intuitive perspective? Many things. So in this case, I think karmic partner was the other word people sometimes use, but Spirits asked us to call them catalysts. So in this case, Larimar is with a catalyst named Rowan, a boyfriend, and she has some work that needs to be done in preparation for a storm that's coming in, and she's going to have to take care of this herself. I would say that's a big part of the journey, is like, especially for the divine feminine, is learning to become self-sufficient, getting away from any codependency that has to do with a love so grand that you could just easily lose yourself in this other person. So part of the learning and the healing And the journey for the Divine Feminine is healing all this codependency that comes with leaning too strongly on another for accomplishing things and getting things done, and not losing yourself in someone else. And I do think it was so easy to get caught up in the mundane attributes of life and get lost in the magic all around. But Larimar had made a pact with herself long ago that she would never let that happen. And a pact was as good as any charm in keeping someone or something true to their word. There's a lot of different healing journeys that can happen in wave 2. I went on a very crazy one, and I'm not going to go into it here because it's just very detailed. And I went through that so I could be able to help other people going through that. But I would say that there's going to be many different types of, because it was talking there about her being, the mundane and the magical. Don't discount anything that might come up that needs to be healed as part of this twin flame wave 2 path. They want me to bring up the doppelganger. If that strikes a chord in you, divine, yeah, they're giving me chills. So if that strikes a chord in you, divine feminine, I had to work very, very deeply during wave 2 to clear a black magic blood pact. Having to, I'm getting so many chills. That was Egyptian in nature. Well, it's pre-Egyptian, but it's just, it started in Egypt, but had to do with doppelgangers as well. So I'm very adept at working with the mundane, what we'll call the mundane, like clearing things like the codependency and the, some of the things that would just come up as, childhood healing and all of that stuff that you're probably working on your spiritual journey, within and like above and around the twin flame thing anyway, something you've already been working on. But as part of this twin flame thing, do not discount, there was all sorts of weird stuff that happened during Egyptian times. And so don't be surprised if some weird thing like what I just mentioned comes up and has to be cleared. And I was not able to clear that by myself. I knew it was there. I knew I had to clear it, but I needed somebody else to come in and help me. And so Spirit sent me a soul sister who worked with me to help clear that. But it was very, very devastating on a mental, emotional, and physical level. And it probably took me a whole year to come out from that one. So if you feel like there's anything weird like that coming up for you, don't discount it, because in this case, the thing that I had to clear it before I could move forward and move out of wave 2. And it took a whole year of clearing. It was the biggest thing that I had to work on in my wave 2 journey. And so if there's anything like that for you, I would strongly suggest you seek out a teacher, a professional healer. Let Spirit guide you to whoever that is. Like I said, it can be me. It doesn't have to be me, but do your homework on that one and get somebody who knows what they're talking about. And you could bring up, what's coming up for you. And if they're like, yeah, I've got this. If they're not clear or not sure, find somebody who knows exactly what they're doing, because these things are real. These things are out there. They do happen. It had to do with walk-ins and all sorts of stuff. So I've got a lot of experience there if anything like that is coming up for you and needs to be taken care of. And the best thing that happened for me with the soul sister, that it wasn't a professional teacher that I went to go see. Spirit sent me a soul sister who had a similar experience with all these things I just talked about. And so when I started mentioning, walk-ins and black magic and all that, she didn't bat an eye. She was like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. And she was able to help me work with that. So that's what you need. You need somebody who understands what's going on, not somebody that when you mention black magic or, anything like weird, like blood pacts or that they're like, oh, Bach, don't know what that means. You need to look for somebody else then. So very clear guidance coming from the guides on that. All right, so let's get a card from this Vision Quest Tarot. I love this deck. I just got it the other day. It's very good for working with. There's decks that I have that are just fun decks, and then there's decks that I have that are teaching decks, and I consider this deck to be a teaching deck. So let's see what this deck has to say for you all in reference to Twin Flames Wave 2 What do our wave 2 people need to know about the most right now in regards to this part of the journey? I've got some cards coming out. Did you like to read from the book from this one as well? All the teaching decks I like to read from the book because I think the messages are very pertinent. So we got the Ace of Air. We got, oh wow, the Ace. I told you that Ace of Wands was out there. We got the Ace of Fire, which is the Ace of Wands. And we got the 10 of Air, negative thinking. So for those of you that can't see the cards because you're listening to the podcast, the Ace of Air is like a beautiful skyline, but it's got a giant feather with a green thread wrapped around it. The Ace of Fire is a sunny, like a plateau, like a mount, not mountains, but like Pueblo, kind of a plateau, with an arrow pointing upwards. It's got fire all around the arrow. And the 10 of Air, negative thinking, is vultures coming in and kind of dealing with some carrion and dealing with a deceased animal. We can't tell what it is. It's not that graphic. All right, so let's take a look. This is advice for wave 2 folks. So I'm going to start with the Ace of Air. Okay, so the Ace of Air, the inspiration is divine coincidence, higher insight, natural intelligence, mental clarity. The inner message is the carousel of thoughts that spins around endlessly in your head, with or without your consent, now slows down enough to let higher inspiration come through to you. By trusting hunches, this is what we just talked about, by trusting hunches and inner revelations and faithfully acting on them, you are led to your own true self quite easily. One of the greatest gifts is the state of serenity that follows a moment of inspiration. This experience gives you certainty that you are on the right track. The outward manifestation is no time to waffle or compromise. Your newfound clarity enables you to discern between what is needed and good and what is useless and inappropriate at this time. Since you have found your inner balance, you can act decisively. Problems will be assessed and solved much more easily from now on. Confidently make the decisions you've thought about for a long time. The answers are now obvious. So I would say, let me move this camera. Let me move these cards up for people watching on the camera. I would say that's all of what we just talked about. You're going to be guided to the teachers you need to talk to or see or listen to or watch. You're going to be getting... the day didn't go by where there was not intuitive guidance that came along that helped me understand what needed to be healed, how to heal it, what needed to be done. The right teachers came to me that helped me do the energy work that was needed to take care of the situations, because that's really what wave 2 is. I would just say it's a period of time where it's very intense. It's like healing, clearing, learning, a period of reflection and integration, some tests and spiritual tests and initiations to make sure you've learned the lessons that needed to be learned, a little bit of a break, some more healing. It just comes in waves, and it seems to come in waves with like the cosmic influences. So the full moons and the new moons, the eclipses and the portals, such as the Lion's Gate, the 222, the 77 portal, all of those types of gates and lunar activity and all of that were the things that brought in the healing. And it's going to be different for each one of you. And that's kind of as much as I'll go into here without getting too in depth. All right. The Ace of Fire is the next card. That is vitality, transformation, sustained courage, joyously forging ahead, impetus to expand, and strong self-confidence. The inner message is these flames are sacred. These flames are sacred, you guys. Twin flames. I'm telling you this. Oh, there's so many chills down my spine. This is you should see this as a sacred journey, even when it feels like it's telling you it can be very hard. But know that you're on a sacred journey, not merely a sign of rising strength. They are also hint at the possibility of higher spiritual awakening. You now have access to an internal reservoir of sustained fiery power. Use it to expand your horizons. As you master, this deck is amazing. As you master the tasks that the new phase in your life brings, your consciousness will expand even further beyond anything you can now conceive. And I can honestly say, yes, I totally believe that to be true, even though it was so difficult, even though my wave 2 was very, very hard. I mean, not that it was constantly hard work. Obviously, it's what you make it, right? You can choose to see it as joyful hard work or hard work or, whatever you want to see it as. But for me, it impacted me so deeply that I got very physically worn out and I had some physical symptoms come up as a result. And so it was a very challenging wave 2 for me. I'm thankful for it, but I'm glad it's over. The outward manifestation of the Ace of Fire is forge ahead full steam and with great confidence. For the moment, nothing can stop you from manifesting your vision. You are riding a wave of fresh, enthusiastic energy. What you embark on now will be successful, be it a project or a relationship. William Blake put it succinctly, energy is delights. Aliveness is sheer bliss. Just being awake of the life force within can make you ecstatic. In a state of exhaustion, nothing looks promising because there is no energy left to motivate and uplift. But charged with high energy, we become aware of the natural bliss that is constantly filling us. Use this opportunity, flow with this vibrant stream of newfound power. And I'm getting really warm. So, okay, my divine master. Let's talk about the fire between the counterparts. There's so much to be said for that Ace of Fire card. I could probably do a whole show on that. But as you continue to clear and work through your wave 2 journey, your confidence builds, your consciousness expands. You're going to be guided to take the best care of yourself that you could possibly take and more. Yeah, there's just so much growth in wave 2, so much. Because by the time you get to wave 3, by the time you graduate from wave 2 and get to wave 3, you've done pretty much all the healing work you need to do to come into alignment with your twin. I would say nothing beats good old wave 2 in retrospect. All right, now, I know this is going a little bit longer, but I want to just read for the 10 of air, and then we'll see if the guides have anything else they want me to talk about for wave 2, and then we can send you on your merry twin flame way. Okay, 10 of air, negative thinking. I think this is probably the thing that's going to possibly trip you up. So the 10 of air card, negative thinking, is unwillingness to let go of negative mind loops, clinging to self-destructive notions, doubts, and existential fears. Yeah, these are the things that need to be clear. These are the things that can trip you up and keep you looping, like the channeling said. So the inner message is sometimes you create your own hell just by repeating negative, hateful thought patterns. There is no hell outside of you. Hell and heaven are internal states of mind. We create them. This power and responsibility cannot be placed at other people's doorstep, even if that feels more comfortable. Become aware of how you think about and treat yourself. Very important on this journey. And the outward manifestation is no new seed should be thrown into this field of doubts. Straighten yourself out first. Try not to hold on to past offenses. This is doing forgiveness work. Clinging to a mental position robs you of your strength. Become aware of how your mind loops, here we go, drag you ever deeper into the muck, especially in work-related matters. Fresh air, exercise, and regular relaxation will help you jump off this downward spiraling carousel of anger, worry, and pain. Those are the things that can trip you up, and they've just given you the advice on how to handle that. It's taking really good care of yourself, doing your healing work as you're guided, or going to the healer that you're guided to go to. And I mean, just doing the work diligently, because this love is so special. Like, how can you not want it, right? So it's like you're like doing whatever you can to get there. It's a big journey of patience too, and I think that can trip you up too. The mind loops, about, is this real? Is this happening? I want it now. Why can't I have it now? All of those things can, and not accepting of where you're at, not being in the present moment, and accepting your current situation, no matter what it is. Those are all things that can really, really come up for you in wave 2 to work on. So we could spend probably hours of this podcast, this show on wave 2, but I'm going to leave it very succinct for now. And I would say if you have questions about wave 2, I am gathering questions to come back and do Q&A shows. So if there's any questions you have about anything you've heard here or anything that's coming up for you personally, and you think that those, you could benefit from other people hearing the answers to those, like you don't have to put personal details, but like overarching questions about what's going on, send those questions into the show. YouTube, you can put them in the comments if you want, but my email address is the bottom of all the show notes, and you can just email it to tlcforthesoul555@gmail.com, and you can get those questions. We'll come back in a show and we'll gather everybody's questions and do a Q&A. All right, let me check in and see if there's anything else. Okay, Spirit is saying they are complete. So I'm going to end this here. The next show for the Twin Flames 2.0 series that we're going to come back with is what is wave 3. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here, and we will see you all again soon. Take care.